A custom-built home, a place of functional beauty, reflecting the unique personality and lifestyle of its owner. The building of such a home is for most people the fulfillment of a lifetime dream. Yet if each step of construction is not done properly, that dream can turn into a nightmare. How does a homeowner prevent construction problems that can result in years of regret? That is the purpose of this video. This is not a detailed explanation for the construction expert. Instead, it is an overview of the entire process for the average homeowner, pointing out key areas to watch for and make sure they are done right. Your custom home is likely to be the biggest purchase you make in your lifetime. A few dollars and minutes spent in viewing this video will be repaid many times over in helping you make sure the investment in your home is well spent. The first step is selection of your lot. Location is very important. The value of your lot will greatly influence the resale value of your completed home. As a general rule, the lot cost should account for 15 to 25% of the total cost of a home to make sure it maintains the value that is put into it. Look carefully at the amenities available within a distance of approximately 2.5 to 3 miles. This can include schools, churches, highways, shopping, medical, and other facilities, anything you will need for comfort or necessity in your day-to-day living. The location of restaurants nearby is particularly positive, not only for your own use, but also as indicators of potential growth and increasing property values in the area, since millions of dollars are spent on marketing research to locate profitable growth locations for restaurants. Your real estate agent is probably familiar with the proximity of these things to the lot you are considering and can save you a lot of legwork in researching the area. An important factor in your choice of location is the quality of the school system. If this is not considered, a family may end up paying the additional cost of private school, often as much as $12,000 a year. Even though taxes may be a little higher in an area with a good public school system, you still can likely come out ahead. This is particularly true when looking at resale value of your home, as buyers often pay a premium for a location in a good school system. Once you have selected your lot, you need to examine the deed and the survey plans provided by your developer. The deed restrictions will stipulate such specifications as the minimum square footage required for the house and also the maximum square footage possible on your lot based on front and back setback requirements, as well as the side back rulings or space between houses. Your architect can determine from deed restrictions and survey plans if the house plans you want will fit on the lot you select. A two-story house may be needed if your lot and its restrictions don't allow you to meet the minimum square footage requirement with one level. When this is done, you can get a commitment letter from your mortgage company for your interim financing. In borrowing the money at this time, you will need to submit the following items to the mortgage company or bank: all of the plans and specifications for the house, including the square footage, type of exterior veneer, etc., the survey showing lot size, the title policy showing the lot title is free and clear with no clouds on it, and your loan applications. It is very important that the interim loan application and approval process takes place before you do any excavation or construction work, as banks will not make a loan on the house if any work has already taken place. Many mortgage or banking institutions now provide a combination package of interim and long-term financing for which only a one-time loan origination fee is required instead of a separate fee for each loan. The mortgage company will require that you include in your financing the cost of builder's risk insurance, which covers fire, theft or vandalism. The next step is to file for a building permit with the town or city in which your lot is located, which must be displayed at the construction site. They will also want a copy of your architect's plans and square footage specifications of your house. After you have your building permit, you will begin your site work on your lot. You will first want to find its property lines. You can run string lines between the four corners of the property to find its boundaries. From these boundaries, you will measure setbacks and sidebacks to determine the grid upon which your house will sit. Within this grid area, you will then have excavation contractors to come in and remove trees and brush and level the ground, making sure not to disturb any more of the natural ground and trees than necessary. During the excavation, a transit is used to shoot grades and determine that the property site is being properly leveled. After excavation and leveling, you can begin the foundation work. Find the survey stakes designated by a red flag. From them, measure the required setbacks specified in deed restrictions. The distance between the property line and the corner of the foundation or closest building point. This distance varies, sometimes a percentage of the width of the house or a set footage. There will be different setback rules for the front, sides, and back. These measurements will determine the setup of string lines and batter boards, which are 2x12s that encompass the foundation. After the batter boards are set, bring in the plumbers to do a rough-in. This includes the main water tap from the city line, called the manifold, and hot and cold water lines, and sewer and PVC lines to your bathrooms, kitchen, or other areas of the house that need plumbing. Note the plastic sleeves used to keep concrete from adhering to the plumbing pipe. Red sleeves are used for hot water pipes, blue for cold. 2-inch pipe is used for bathrooms and showers, 4-inch pipe for toilets or toilet vents. This is also the time to bring in the electrician for any rough-in required. For example, electrical lines to an island counter in the middle of a kitchen. If this is left out or not done properly, it can only be remedied by cutting the concrete. At this time, you will need to dig exterior and interior grade beams. The exterior grade beams are used along the exterior perimeter of the house. The ones shown here are 12 inches wide and 24 inches deep. The requirements for your house will depend upon soil conditions and the engineer's report. You will need at least 12 inches of depth below the line of undisturbed natural soil, excluding any fill dirt. The exterior walls and the bulk of the weight of the house actually rest on this concrete, so it must be adequate. Interior grade beams support the interior walls or add support where the engineer's weight calculations show additional support is needed. They are normally 10 inches wide and 20 inches deep. After these have been dug, put a 4 milliliter plastic barrier to prevent any moisture from coming through the concrete, which might cause linoleum or wood flooring to buckle. Plastic is also wrapped around any metal to prevent corrosion. Before the main plastic sheets are laid down, most banks require that you have a termite control company to come in and spray the area of the foundation. Another major step in preparing the foundation is doing the rebar, made up of metal rods or cable, joined in a grid with wire ties. There are two types you can do, either a regular monolithic slab or a post-tension slab. The post-tension slab is needed if there is instability in soil conditions. A monolithic slab is used here because the soil is stable. Because of the two-story structure and roof configuration and weight, we have drilled piers, as determined by the structural engineer. Vertical rods are embedded in these piers. A very important step to do the day before pouring concrete is to make sure that the foundation is square and level. Even if the batter boards were set properly at the beginning, they could have been knocked out of alignment during the various steps of foundation preparation. A few minutes spent in this final check can save thousands of dollars in cost from a foundation that is not square and level. Many steps that follow, including framing, sheetrock, cabinets, and wallpapering, will require more time and expense and will not have the right overall appearance if compensation is required for an error here in the beginning. Make sure that all batterboard corners and offsets are 90-degree angles by marking and measuring the hypotenuse triangle sides of 3, 4, and 5 feet. Check the straightness of batterboard sides with a string line or visual inspection. Check the level of each board with a carpenter's level. Upon the completion of the foundation preparation and 24 hours before pouring the concrete, a building inspector will have to evaluate and approve the work. The inspector will also come periodically through the remaining stages of building the house. The next step is the pouring of the concrete foundation, a major milestone in construction of the house. Here, concrete trucks pour their loads into a concrete pump, which directs the flow through a pipe running along a boom and out to the foundation. Concrete trucks alone could not get close enough to the foundation without destroying the surrounding trees. The flow of concrete is carefully directed into the foundation, filling in grade beams first so there are no air pockets or voids, then going back and pouring over the top. As it is poured, the concrete is spread out evenly over the foundation. As it becomes firm, it is finished out to a smooth surface, and finally the batterboards are removed. As the foundation is in the process of setting, make sure that anchor bolts, L-shaped metal bars, are embedded into the concrete no more than 12 inches from each corner. This is essential to stabilizing the house during tornado or high winds. Like squaring of the foundation corners, this step must be done at the right time to ensure quality of the home, otherwise it will be too late. The next major step of construction is the framing of the house. Refer to the house plans and measure out the location of partition walls, windows, and doors according to scale, normally 1/4 inch to 1 foot. The layout is marked on the concrete by popping lines impregnated with colored powder. Wooden wall framing is then constructed and raised into the correct position. The wall studs should be made of white wood, either spruce or fir. The green-colored 2x4s are pressure treated to resist moisture and prevent rotting. Yellow pine is not recommended for wall studs as it can warp within the walls. Note that holes are drilled in the bottom of the wall framing, and these are placed on and secured to anchor bolts, which are set in the concrete during pouring. To further secure the walls, a .22 caliber ramset gun is used to shoot hardened nails with a washer through the wood into the concrete. This affixes the bottom plate 2x4s to the concrete and should be done every 4 to 5 feet. Without this, the stretchers later used in laying carpet may cause the wall to move. Once the framing of the house is plumbed, nail metal wind braces to the wall studs to stiffen and strengthen the house. Bracing is very important prior to the completion of the roof because if the walls move, the entire plumb and alignment of the house is affected. As the upstairs portion is framed, you will be using engineered pre-constructed floor trusses. Make sure they meet specifications for the span they are supposed to support. The upstairs subflooring is 1 1/8 inch tongue and groove plywood with the flooring both glued and screwed to the floor trusses. This helps to prevent squeaking and provides sturdiness for the upstairs. Over the wooden framing will go an exterior wall sheathing. 1/2 inch Celotex sheathing is good for insulating the exterior walls. Apply aluminum tape on all seams to prevent air infiltration. In addition, make sure all corners of the house have 1/2 inch wafer board plywood to stiffen the exterior walls. The next step in framing is the cutting and putting up of the rafters for the roof. This is also the time for putting up gable studs and valleys. painting of the cornice or overhang, consisting of fascia and soffit boards, is done before roof shingles and brick are put on to prevent overspray onto them. Other steps to be done at this time include the installation of windows, adding wood shims where needed to bring the window to a level and plumb position. Check latches to make sure they shut properly. Metal fireplaces are also installed now, along with metal flue and venting. Make sure no turns or bends are more than 45 degrees so there will be enough draw for the fireplace. Also help prevent fire danger by checking for at least 2 inches clearance between metal flashing and any wood or combustible material. Also done at this time is the plumbing stackout, the process of running air vent pipe through the roof, from toilets and other plumbing fixtures to prevent causing a vacuum from the water movement. During shingling, the roofers will install roof jacks, which are rubber boots that fit over these plumbing air vent pipes to give a leak-proof seal. This home uses cedar shake shingles for the roof. Good shingling requires skill and patience and is very important for appearance as well as the protection of the house. Quality work in bricklaying is also important for the same reasons. Each row of bricks, called a course, should be kept plumb and level by using a string line guide and a level. Bricks are an expensive building material and are difficult to count, so you want to be sure you are charged for the right number. Make your own estimate by multiplying the number of bricks per square foot times the perimeter of the house times 7 feet per floor. Don't worry about taking out for windows and doors, since extra brick for the fireplace will compensate for them. Once the house is enclosed or in the dry, work on the inside can be done simultaneous with the remaining exterior work. Rough-in of the electrical system starts with ground rods and the breaker panel and breakers, which should include GFI ground fault interrupters. It includes wiring for lighting, appliances, and HVAC, and plug-in receptacle outlets. Electrical nail boxes support the receptacle outlets. These boxes should be 16 inches from the floor to the top of the nail box. Electrical layout also includes light switches, which should be 52 inches from the floor, and the design and placement of the lighting fixtures. Don't rely solely on how the lighting design looks on paper. Walk through the house and look at the actual placement of the light fixtures and visualize where light will fall. Make sure there are no dark spots, especially in the kitchen, bathrooms, reading areas, etc. Adding or moving lighting is much easier and less costly at this stage than after the finished ceiling is in place. Installation of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or HVAC system, is another major step. Air from the air handler is distributed through the plenum, an insulated metal box from which insulated flexible ductwork leads to supply each individual room with necessary heat and air. This flex duct should have an insulating factor of R4. The flex is attached to the plenum by a metal collar attached with 2 plastic straps. This must be done securely to provide proper insulation at the connection. After connection to the plenum, ductwork should be lifted and held up with the saddle straps off the ceiling joist, so when insulation is later sprayed into the attic, it can reach under the ductwork and provide maximum coverage. Make sure there are no kinks in the ductwork, which would inhibit airflow. Outside of the house, freon and condensation lines have been run for exterior condensation units for the HVAC. These units should never be installed until the day before move-in because of the high risk of theft. Back inside the house, insulation and plastic wrap are put in to prevent air infiltration. The next step is sheetrocking. 4x12 sheets should be used rather than 4x8, so there will be fewer seams. In taping and bedding, the joints are covered with 2-inch tape and covered with gypsum-based topping to smooth the surface. Tile for walls and floors is now custom cut and laid down over Durock board, a concrete-based wallboard which will not mildew or rot, so the tile will not have to be replaced in a few years. The glue used is mastic, especially designed for ceramic tile. Plastic spacers for the grout joints keep them uniform in width. Tile work can be not only functional, but a true work of art, as is this entryway of Italian marble tile, featuring clipped corners with diamond inserts. Wooden trim work includes cutting and placing casement around the windows. The casement moldings are cut with miter cuts at 45-degree angles. Base molding is installed along the bottom of the walls with a 1/2-inch gap from the floor to allow for carpet pad and carpet. Caulk and putty is applied to all holes and cracks where the molding has been nailed to the wall. Ceiling trim or crown molding is used to accent or highlight the juncture between the walls and ceiling. Other trim work includes the installation of cabinets, putting in granite countertops, laying of wood floors, and installation of special features such as a spiral staircase with its handrail, balusters, and newel or corner post. It is a good idea to have installers of any specialized items such as balusters, tile, floor pieces, and even carpet and paint to leave you extra, so if something breaks or needs replacing, you won't have to track it down years later. The concrete sidewalk and driveway is one of the last steps done in order to protect it from paint, oil, and wear during the preceding construction process. Wooden forms are built and wire mesh is laid in the area where concrete is then poured, spread, and smoothed. Expansion joints are put in, acting as controlled cracks to allow a place for the concrete to expand or contract, and if a crack occurs, it'll be here where it is not visible. Wallpaper is a finishing touch that must be carefully done, using a level, square, and plumb to make sure the pattern is continuous. Proper alignment of the house foundation and walls back at the beginning makes the job of fitting wallpaper as well as windows and doors a lot easier with better results. You are now ready to install fixtures in the bathroom, the kitchen, and other parts of the house. If everything is done right before this is all just hookup, and you can enjoy seeing it all come together. At last, it's time for the finishing touches, painting, carpeting, and finally bringing in appliances and furniture. As you move into your new custom-built home, you can enjoy it to the fullest, knowing that all your diligent effort has paid off. Having carefully watched over each step of construction, you can now be confident that every detail has been done at the right time and in the right way, so that with a minimum of maintenance, your new home will be an attractive and comfortable place to live for many years to come.